And remember, I was talking about H.R., the famous man who did the solar gazing, and people were really excited about him because he had this fantastic story of being observed by medical doctors.
Right.
And the thing is he gained weight after a year and a half. How can you gain weight on a fast? Doesn't make sense. This boy supposedly has been fasting for a long time, and he didn't show any sign of weight loss, that's for sure.
Actually, the nutritionist said later on in the video she thought that through his cloak she could almost see his ribs. So she believed that he was in an advanced state of starvation. Also interesting, they found that his neck was enlarged, which could possibly mean that he has a very low, an underactive thyroid, which would mean his metabolism is very low. Or he might have a goiter of some sort. That's another comment they made.
Well, I noticed, the comments from the nurse that she was basically a true believer and devotee of this guy, and I feel that she made a lot of comments that were not.
This was the skeptic. The more skeptical woman was making these comments, the ones I'm speaking of.
Okay. Well. Anyway, to me, I watched very carefully this video, and I watched him very carefully. I saw no sign that he was emaciated or skinny. I did notice the fat neck and lower chin on this guy, and it looked to me like he hadn't had enough exercise,
right,
and probably was a little overfed. So he certainly didn't look like somebody who had been fasting for months on end, and also not even drinking water for months on end. Come on, people. Do we have to be that naive? Or can we just go, Jesus did fast for 40 days. It's part of his story. But do you think he came out fat?
Well, an interesting comment I had, or thought that I had on the documentary was, for the thickness in his neck, was the fact that he had potentially been sitting there for days and months at a time, and so he must have developed very strong neck muscles. Just like when I was in high school and I was doing football camp, and I was exercising 6 hours a day, I noticed that my neck muscles were thicker. And if you consider, for a significant portion of the day, if not 24 hours a day, he's holding his head up without support, it's possible, I believe, that he could have developed a very strong muscular system in his neck.
So do you think that meditation requires muscles?
Yeah. To hold your head up? No, you disagree?
No, because how can you enter absorption by using your muscles? Your body has to completely relax. Arguably, the Buddha apparently did most of his meditation lying down. And I think the reason why is because one can just relax more while lying down than one can relax while sitting up. But certainly in my experience of sitting up meditation for 35 years, I'm not using my muscles to keep me up. I'm relaxing as much as possible. I've been meditating for 35 years. That's a whole lot longer than this kid has. Do I have muscular neck?
No, but I'm saying...
Meditating hours a day for 35 years?
Well, do you do most of yours sitting up without support? Or?
Sure, I've spent 3 to 6 hours a day sitting up in meditation, and then I do a fair amount of lying down meditation, maybe 6 hours a day lying down meditation. So I've never developed strong muscles from sitting up meditation. I mean, if there was any effort involved in sitting up meditation, it wouldn't be meditation. So the kid's fat neck is not about, if it was about him developing muscles in his neck from holding his head up, then he's not meditating. This is physical exercise we're talking about. Secondly, I don't buy it. That, to me, the kid is not fasting. He's obviously being fed. And the trick is, the question is how is he being fed? Right?
He actually looks very lean in some of the pictures you see of him without anything on.
Well, I didn't see a lot about the kid, and I think all the luck to him. And you know what, the world is full of naive people, and they are more. People are so naive, they'll go rushing after a 15-year-old who can sit in the hollow of a tree and pretend to be meditating for 3 months on end, and have the smoke and mirrors of a circus act supporting him in this. And yet when it comes to a genuine contemplative, which we have many of in this Western culture, these people are completely ignored. I think it's a commentary on this age, or how naive people are, that they're constantly looking for somebody who was born of a virgin, walks on water, parts the seas, his body turns into a rainbow when he dies, he flies bodily through the air. Have any of you seen that? No, I don't think any of us have seen somebody do that. But when it comes to a real contemplative, we ignore that person every time.
Well, there were other signs documented later in that documentary and some other documentaries. For example, they found that even though the weather was something like 40 or 45 degrees Fahrenheit, he was sweating profusely. And Discovery Channel filmed that. And they weren't quite understanding of why, when you sweat, in general, your body temperature is above 100.5 degrees Fahrenheit, and they didn't understand why that was occurring, which is another interesting thing. Also, he was bitten by a snake at one point, and that was videoed, and he woke up from his trance, and he asked that no medical treatment be given to him, and that his meditation would solve the problem, and he went back into his trance and continued, and even though it was supposedly a poisonous snake, he healed up fine. So that's another interesting anecdote. Another one that the Discovery Channel commented on, they didn't video this themselves. While they were away, they were doing some other investigation away. This wasn't during their 2 96-hour sessions of filming. Apparently he burst into flame in front of 59 people. That's the story, at least. And there were 59 witnesses for that, and he threw off his cloak and threw it over the flame that had appeared on the ground, and he asked for another cloak, a white cloak, and then he asked to be left alone. He talked to his brother briefly, and then asked to be left alone to do his meditation. Mm-hmm. So the Discovery Channel then keyed that into the idea of spontaneous combustion, which you're a bit, I'm sure, familiar with. Mm-hmm. So there are some other things that were commented on in the video documentary.
The sad thing about humans is they're always looking for the fantastic. They much prefer, folklore like Santa Claus, Easter Bunny. They don't really like the reality very much at all. So when it comes to the rigorous contemplatives who really have genuine attainment in this lifetime, they're available there by the hundreds. I've got them documented. Not one of these people are being observed. Instead, we're running after fantastic stories of a man who is supposedly observed by medical doctors for 1.5 years, and yet he gains weight on a fast. I've seen HR. I've had a conversation with him.
Oh, excellent.
I asked him if he meditated. No, he said, I don't need to meditate. I'm now a solar chip.
Uh-huh.
It's like...
Well, you have nothing concrete to disprove that either. If he was getting energy from the sun, who knows if he could control his weight completely. I mean, I would just like to see something more concrete. It's just my personal thought.
Well, no, what I see you looking for is for the fantastic. Mm-hmm. And, you're constantly coming up with these stories of fantastic beings. HR's thing, as far as I know, is kind of disintegrated. His following is disintegrated. The reason why is because he didn't leave a contemplative life now. And it's been found that, no, he wasn't fasting, that he actually gained weight at the hospital, and the so-called medical team that was observing him were not doing a very good job. Thank you.